afternoon. Good evening, councillors. Thank you very much for coming. I'd like to start off today by the most warm welcome to the lady sitting next to me, who is Councillor Mrs Jacqueline Stanford and the Chair of Icklesham Parish Council, who's very kindly offered to take the minutes for us tonight, which is very sweet of you, so we're very grateful. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And Mrs Councillor Stanford has actually done this before, so she does know, and she also apparently they also went through a slightly difficult situation in their council some time ago, so she's come to help us out and tell us how to do it. So today we're going to start the meeting by electing a chair of our new council. So that's the first thing we're doing on the agenda, and then we'll go on and elect vice chair, and then it's the committee members, which is a really exciting period. So I would like to propose Stewart as the chair of the parish council. For the future, has anybody got any comments? Anybody second it?
I can second that.
Is that carried, mutually carried?
Does anybody else want that?
Yeah.
Are you happy with that, Mr Stewart? Councillor Stewart? Yeah, right, okay. Right, so would you like to take over?
Yeah, fine, thank you. I'd like to reiterate what Lyn has just said with regards to Jackie coming over and taking the clerk's role for us. Jackie was very kindly said that come to our last little bit where we closed the meeting and open forum. She's quite willing to let everybody know exactly how she catered for the same similar situation as we now find ourselves in. A lot of water's gone under the bridge. I personally would like to see all that water under the bridge and it's gone and it's stopped. However, I do know that there are implications and we'll get to them a little bit further on. So let's move on. The election of vice chair. Any propositions, please?
Can I suggest Jeff Smith, Councillor Smith?
Any other propositions?
I propose.
No. Second that?
Yeah, I second that.
Thank you.
Easy.
Okay, fine, thank you. Right, election of committee and members. We don't want to take too long with this, so if there's one of these points that you'd like to be part of the working group, then please stick your hand up and say so. It can change at any time, but if we get something put down on paper tonight, we can move on a little bit quicker at the rest of the meeting. So election of commission, planning committee. Well, that should be the chair, vice chair, and all the councillors. Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Agreed.
Great.
Finance and admin, exactly the same.
Great.
Yep. Right, land management. We need 3 councillors for that.
I'll volunteer.
So it's Jeff,
Dom and
Dominic.
Michael.
Don and Michael. Right, rights of way councillor. Now, I don't know as this has been followed up a great deal, but it needs to be followed up a little bit more than it has been. The rights of way, somebody needs to look after our rights of way around here, otherwise we're going to lose them. So parts that fields where there are rights of way where they're not labelled, you can find them all. They're all on Parish Online. The new councillors won't have Parish Online yet, but I do have the password so as you can get in. Alright. Anyone want to take that role on? Michael?
Well, I suppose I ought to, bearing in mind what's on my CV.
No, Michael, thank you. Tree warden.
Well, by the way, before I say that, if you do want the definitive, or as far as possible, definitive guide to rights of way, the rights of way map on East Sussex County Council's website is excellent, and there's an awful lot of information on it. Well worth getting an account, so if you see problems, you can report them.
Right, thank you for that,
Thanks
Michael.
for that, Michael.
Right, tree warden. Dominic?
Yes.
Good man.
Ideal.
Right, highways.
I'll pick that up this one again.
We need 2 on there.
All right,
Stephen.
behind you.
Stephen.
Stephen.
Jeff and Stephen.
Water and drainage officer, including pathfinders.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to do
Yeah,
that.
but Sarah, so the girls will run.
I'll mimic that.
Emergency plan coordinator. Okay, that's one for me then. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll help you.
Thanks, Lynn. Grants officers. Grants officer and panel.
Yes. No one. Jeff.
Yeah.
Me as well.
Yeah.
And I'll
Lee?
do- I'll-
Yeah.
Jeff. Lee.
Yeah. Sarah.
It's usually just been 3 in the clerk in the past.
You want 3?
It's usually just been 3 in the clerk. So
Lee.
At the clerk.
yeah.
Oh, actually, you can put me down on that one, actually. Because I'm
Okay,
usually,
then
I'm
it's all
usually
right.
on the grants thing as well.
So you want 4 at the clerk?
Yes, please.
Yeah, please, and Clark.
Awards panel.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah,
Is that
I'll do
similar? Is that similar to the grants?
The
officer?
award panel is
I'll do that
really
as well.
just
Thanks.
every year we give a little.
I'll do
It's
that
called
as well.
the John Lutman.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've heard about it.
Yes. Really, that's the main one.
Right, okay.
Is that you, Lee?
Who's
Yeah,
doing
we're down for that. If it's,
That'll be Lee,
Me.
Jeff, myself.
Speed watch, neighbourhood watch, police, etc. One councillor.
Well, to do that, I guess. Get this on his CV.
Michael. Excellent.
Haven't time for that.
War Memorial Steering Group.
Fine.
Stephen.
Website and Facebook coordinators.
I think that's you.
Excellent. I've also got, I think his name's Graham Gillett.
Gillett.
Yeah.
Gillett, yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
he knows what he's doing, so we have spoken to him, and he's
Willing.
willing to rewrite the website for us, for the gov.uk website.
Yeah, he's been volunteered and encouraged.
Fairlight drop-in group. That's Dish.
That's
Yes.
Dominic.
Anyone else?
Michael,
Need 2.
Michael, you'd be quite good for that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'm afraid I might get eaten alive.
You would find they're
Oh,
happy
reason to do it.
No, they might spit you out again though, so you
Well, if you must, if nobody else wants to do it.
No, no, supposed to do it. Okay, staff appraisal for chair and 2 councillors.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I didn't get that. Was that
Yeah,
Sarah.
Sarah? Sarah. Preservation Trust link.
Yes,
Probably Dominic, yeah.
already part of the committee of the
Oh, yeah?
Preservation Trust,
Okay,
so
good.
Yeah.
Village Hall liaison.
I can do that. I normally have to go to all the meetings. Right. All in.
And Market Garden liaison link. 2 councillors.
That's definitely Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'll do that as well.
Who?
Really.
Lee and
Stephen.
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 Okay, that's good. All right, appointment of members to official roles within the council and association of local council associations. So RAL stands for Rhondda Association of Local Councillors. Don't all volunteer at the same time.
I think we just saw it.
So you've got RAL, so yeah, so if we say whoever's available,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Okay, right, moving on to number 1. Apologies for absence in the none. Code of conduct and disclosure of interest. To receive any disclosures by members or personal with prejudicial interest in matters on the agenda. Do we have any? No? That's good.
Well, I'd better say something. Sorry, 12A,
12A.
because of my association with Activate and Hastings Athletic pay a small amount each month
Okay, fine, thank you.
towards their active pay.
Okay. Right. Oh, lovely. Number 3, Chairman's report.
We have one.
I've been to the last few meetings and I've seen a lot of water go under the bridge and I've seen a lot of turmoil. I'm not one for joining in with turmoil because it never gets anywhere, in my opinion. It causes a lot of aggravation, a lot of friction, all of which you don't need in a role like ours. We're here for the village, and I'd like to reiterate something that Carl Maynard said a couple of meetings ago. I think it was a couple of meetings ago. We are custodians of the residents' money in this village. So in other words, we're a bank. If they tell us they want to do something, it's down to us to try and get it done. If it means involving highways, Southern Water, and every other Tom, Dick and Harry, that's our job to do that. Yeah. It's not down to us to say how we spend the money. It's the residents' money. They tell us we would like, we will try and do. If we can't do it, then we'll find another way of doing it. And I'm sorry if I'm not talking to the residents here, but this is a parish council meeting held in public. Whilst you're able to say what you want to, there are times when you can't say what you would like to say. But if there's anything that we come across here that you feel you would like to say something pertinent, we'll withhold standing orders, allow you to say, we've got a couple of minutes, we'll take it on board and then we'll move on. Alright, so there is a bit for you to say at the end for open forum. You can do say what you like, really. Well, within reason. I do know that Councillor Baker's raised a point a little earlier to me, and we've suggested that we'll bring that point up in matters arising at point 7. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say about that at the moment. One last thing. I don't mind the cameras being here at all. Not at all. I think it's great. I think it's brilliant. Fine. You'll probably get bored with it after a while. If people from the village are only looking at it 2 or 3 times, you need to ask yourself, am I really wasting my time? It's entirely up to you. Makes no difference to us whatsoever. We are in discussion with a new clerk, and I should have brought it up earlier. I'm sorry, I meant to mention that. Discussions are ongoing. We will know shortly whether or not they've been successful. There are 1 or 2 issues that we need to resolve, and I feel sure that with the three of us that did the interviews, we can resolve. We have looked at locums, but quite frankly, the price that they want, we can do it ourselves. It's that we don't need to pay £35–40 an hour. That's really silly. And we've got plenty of people from Icklesham that are willing to help us, guide us to do things the right way. We might not always get it right, but all I would say is I've got a phone number, I've got an email address, as does all the rest of the councillors. Before you start ranting and raving at us, give us a ring, let's have a chat, let's have a pint of beer or something and talk it over. Maybe we've got something wrong, in which case we'll put it right. But please, just talk to us. We're fine, we're open, we're easy to talk to. We belong to many of the groups within the club, so let's move on with that. Okay, that's my bit all finished with. Right, public questions in respect of items on the agenda. Any member of the public got any questions you'd like to ask? Moving on quickly? No, good, thank you. Right, minutes of the meeting held on Tuesday the 27th of August. To approve the minutes and the chair to sign it as an accurate record. We've got 2 here. We've got minutes of the 12th of September and the 27th of August. Stephen, did you have something to say?
Yeah, item 5. So Tuesday the 27th of August, there was an item raised by me with regard to the, quote, disruption of the July meeting, and I asked for the addition of a comment that the police were called but no action was taken. Now that's a significant point, because if no action was taken, it means the police felt there was nothing wrong. And that's significant to this council, because if nothing happened, and if the public weren't disruptive, then we should record that. That minute was not recorded, so I'm asking for it to be recorded tonight. Although the police were called, no action was taken by the police.
Do councillors feel happy about adding that?
Yeah.
Bear in mind that this was taken from the video, because I wrote the minutes. I personally didn't hear them, but there may be other stuff that I didn't hear. We've now got a better mic for the video on YouTube, so it's easier to understand, but it was quite a poor quality, so I may very well have missed it. Don't have a problem with that. But everybody happy to add that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you add that for us?
I've got it here.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
And likewise, minutes of the 12th of September. Are we happy to accept those?
Yep.
I'll sign them then, yeah. Sign them off. Okay, 7. Matters arising from the minutes not otherwise on the agenda.
I have an item, Chair.
Yep. Understood. Okay, yeah.
I'm sure all councillors are aware that in the SALC Autumn 24 newsletter, there was a statement made by the CEO of that association talking effectively about the meeting of July here. You've all seen it. Personally, I find it inaccurate and biased, and I believe it was the August meeting. Sorry, I believe it says at its July meeting. The item says in here our July meeting, and I think that this item is, and I'll read it out if you want, but I think this item is biased, it's one-sided, and it's factually incorrect. I believe that we should write to the chairman of the SALC and say those points without accusing anything of bias or anything of that nature. We should point out the factual inaccuracies and the implications of this statement. It goes on to talk about legislation needing to respond to this type of societal change. Now, the only societal change was people wanted to enact a 2014 law passed by Parliament.
Right.
So my view is we should be writing to point out the inaccuracies to the correct person.
Right. Have all councillors seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, sorry. I just want to
that's fine.
everyone see. Carry on, Stephen.
And so if anybody wants to who read it, I'll read it out to them. So it just goes on to say there were 3 councillors who, for security reasons, wished not to be filmed or screened off. Well, that in my view makes a farce of this meeting. The fact that we are now open to the public, every single one of us, shows a marked change in this council. So my proposal, my request to discuss really, is that we write to the CEO, and everybody should look at that letter. I'm happy to write it or draft it and point out the inaccuracies and basically call to rescind some of the comments.
Okay.
Chair, could I ask a quick question?
Yeah, I'll stand in order to go on.
Would you ask for a retraction or something? Because presumably this was distributed to outside people, so just writing back and saying, oh, we're sorry, isn't enough. I mean, this is, I won't use the word libelous, but I just used it. But
I agree, and I didn't use it because I was told it wouldn't be a good idea.
I wouldn't use that word either, but I think
I think it
ask
is.
for a retraction
I agree.
and a correction
I agree.
would be, anyway, that was
My personal view, Tim, for what it's worth, my personal view is that what this paints us in us as residents of Fairlight is a militant group. Well, when there are people in wheelchairs on oxygen, I don't think it's exactly militant. So I think we're exactly right. And although I think the wording should be courteous, I think we should be asking for a retraction.
Yeah.
That's what I agree.
Yeah.
I
Can I
agree.
just make one point, please? The website is open for everyone to look at, which is, you know, anybody, member of the public, can go on the ESAL website and read that.
Well, there you go. Right.
And the gentleman that wrote that article could have gone on the website and looked at it himself and seen the error of his ways before he
Okay,
issued it.
okay, I'll bring the meeting back to order again. Stephen, would you write that letter if everybody's happy?
I'm happy to draft it and send it.
Draft it and send it round to all the councillors for their opinion.
Please.
Thank you, Chair.
Don't make amendments to it, but maybe in your memo, in reply to Stephen, if you've got something to suggest it, but don't change the main document.
Chair,
Right.
Chair, just a quick point. In that, Steve, will you mention the fact that the police attended and no action was taken?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Right, okay, we're back on track again. Counting district reports. Okay, Tim was first.
Oh, fine. Congratulations, everyone. Congratulations, Chairman. I'm glad to see that after quite a lot of delay, which a lot seemed to be quite unnecessary, it's taken us this long to get to this point tonight. And I want to thank Jackie for coming over and stepping in and helping the guide. So this is great stuff. There are several matters that we'll probably park until the next full meeting. But the main one is that we did receive notification the Market Garden site survey was carried out on the week commencing the 16th of September. However, we weren't told exactly when, so we didn't witness it ourselves. We were then told that there would be a report in 2 weeks, which I think brings it about, but in council terms, I would think next week onwards is when I would expect to receive that. The survey was conducted by 2 people from the council. One, I believe, works for the private housing company owned by the council called Lloyd Exley, and the other is the head of enforcement, which is Dan Bevan. And we shall await with great anticipation to see what their report says. You know, and as soon as we receive it, obviously we'll kick it around.
Okay,
Tim, that is a public document, is it?
Well,
When it comes out,
I get it.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
It's coming to you as a
Well, if
private
it's sent to me in confidence, that's a different matter. But I don't see why it would be. You know, it's,
Right, so it'll come to you,
yeah.
and then you're going to post it.
I'd say, well, I think I'd forward it to the parish and then we post it publicly, or let the parish do it. I don't, you know, because you've got a liaison for Market Garden site. You know, this is something that previous parish council was not very interested in the
Yes.
Market Garden site. This one is now extremely interested
Yes.
in it. So, you know, we'd like to, I think, if I'm not speaking on behalf of Andrew, work together with
I mean, the importance of the question is if it's a private document, it changes how you can deal with it. If it's a public document, and we need to, I guess we need to know that.
We'll work that out.
We'll find out, yeah.
Yeah, there's a solution to every problem, whether or not we know it.
Is that when it's issued, does it give a recommendation? And is it any legally binding at all, or is it just purely this is what's happened and this is what we think, or this is just what's happened?
I guess it's sort of it's going to have a binary result. It's either going to say yes, this complied 100% to all the plans, or say yes, it may. Well, maybe it's 3 things. It'll be yes, it mostly did, and there's a few little things, or it'll say identify some major, you know, breaches. But we don't know until we get it.
No. As long as it's got a bit of teeth behind it, that's the main thing, I think.
Let's see what
Until we
it
get
is.
it, until we can see one, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Jim. Andrew.
I just think the Chief Executive is calling a meeting which Tim and I would be invited to the principal actors in this matter, rather, at which this report will be presented to us, and we will then find out what it says. But at the moment, we know no more than you do. We will find out then and we see what it says, and have to think about how to take it forward.
Okay, Andrew, thank you.
I'd like to mention one other thing, which perhaps can't wait until the next meeting, and that is, I'm sure that a lot of people are aware that there's a Cabinet agenda item for next Monday dealing with the community grants. It's proposed that community grants be farmed out to the Sussex Charitable Foundation to administer. And a consequence of that appears to be that parish councils would cease to be eligible for the community grants. That is unacceptable, certainly to me, and I think to any of the parishes that I've spoken to so far. And there doesn't seem to be any very good reason for it. I've raised that with the lead Cabinet member, who's Theresa Killing, and I've asked for the matter to be deferred. I know that she is making further inquiries of the Foundation about why this should be so. It appears to be outside their terms of reference, their usual way of doing business. This is from their website. But we need to know why that is and whether we can find a way around it or whether the whole concept is fatally flawed. So I would just like to assure the councillors here that that is being actively pursued by your district councillors.
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
We have, I think we have seen the.
Yes.
It's all gone round, isn't it? That's been described. Okay, fine, thank you. Okay, financial matters. Well, as you before we start, as you're aware, we don't have a clerk, we don't have an RFO, we don't have a proper officer. We have Jackie here, which is kindly doing what's necessary for us. You have seen the, and I don't think we did them. We have a schedule of payments, which we normally have at the end of the month. They're paid, they're done. We have no further income at the moment. The reason we don't have any notice of any income is we don't have access to the accounts yet. Okay, we don't have access to the accounts because the statements have not been received by the ex-clerk. If they haven't been passed on yet, but I'm told that they didn't arrive until the middle of the month, maybe early part of the month. So we're still waiting for those to come. Everything else, as far as I know, nothing's been spent other than the schedule. And the schedule went out. Is it gone out with the minutes?
It went out yet already.
It
It did go out.
Yes.
Okay, fine. So visitors know about that as well. But matters are in hand to change that, which we'll get to shortly. Right, to consider and approve the attached schedule payments. They are there. We did have a problem with getting ex-councillors to sign. They wouldn't sign them unless they had notification from a certain body that it was okay to sign them. That was got, and they were told that they can sign them. They will be signed tomorrow. The balance is done. And I say the balance because there were one or two that they didn't seem to have a problem with signing. I don't know why. Right, to complete the transfer paperwork of change of signatures to all bank accounts. Lyn, over to you.
My lord, really. Yeah, that's proving to be a bit of a problem in that, I can't get through to banks. I'm speaking to the banks, and they seem to talk a different language. They keep coming back and telling me the same thing, that they can't do something until the signatories agree it. And I'm saying, but you've written to the signatories, and the signatories have come back to you. This is the previous council signatories. And we're going to check it through, and then we'll come back to you. I was told at first it would take 5 days, and I was told it would take 14 days, and I was told it might take longer. Somebody said it would be at least a month. So I was trying to get some information today, but we haven't been given the logins, we haven't been given the access, we haven't been given any of the information to get into the banks. So I'm fighting a little bit of a battle at the moment, and having
Okay, thank you.
having a bit of a...
Jackie, go.
Been through all this. Banks are not easy. I was going to make a suggestion that you might want to minute who your new signatories are, and then the bank could have a copy of the minutes.
Yeah.
So if you approve the signatories and it's minuted, then that should be good enough for them.
Okay,
So that's
thank
what I would do.
you. Okay, thank you.
The signatories were supposed to be, by the old council, they were supposed to transfer them at the meeting that Carl Maynard ran. It was agreed that there would be Stephen Baker and myself. Unfortunately, that doesn't seem to have happened yet.
Does that still stand though?
We're still...
So it's you and
Stephen at the moment,
Yeah.
but none that, although they've had paperwork.
Yeah. Oh no, they're useless.
We'll need
So if
more,
I minute,
at least
We'll
one more
need
signatories.
some more.
if I minute that it's... Oh, you need more.
We'll need more, yeah. We'll need
Well, do
probably
you want
Stephen, the chair and the vice chair probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you, Lyn, you, Stephen, and who else?
Steve Stewart.
Steve
Steve
Stewart
Stewart.
and Jeff
Jeff Smith.
Smith,
Okay. So if I minute that, then
please.
you can go back to the bank with it.
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
lovely, thank
There's
you.
Okay.
one small point, of course, myself and Steve were signatories until we left.
Oh, well then you will remain. You should remain then.
She
If the
took
bank... She's taken them off.
She took them off.
So she could take them off, but she couldn't put the new ones on. That's bizarre.
She hasn't taken the other she hasn't taken the previous councillors.
Oh, I don't understand that at all. Okay.
Right.
Well, as long as we minute the new ones.
Yeah, hang on. Standing orders. Yeah, please.
Is the lack of login details, is this contributing towards slowing down this whole process?
Just a tad.
Yeah,
Yes, is the
Well,
answer.
the NatWest won't be, because the NatWest one you've got dual signatures, therefore they won't do it online.
Well, well, no, you have to apply everything online, and then having looked at it, you just online just say whether two signatories have agreed it, and then they get an email
Yeah.
out. They get an email out saying, "Do you agree with this?" And then they have to reply. And I
Right.
think that might be where the glitch is. That
Or it
if
hasn't been done.
Which bank is
Okay.
it?
No, it's
NatWest.
Oh, yeah. We're that way.
So, yeah, and whether the other thing is I'm not sure whether I don't think we know this, whether or not they would be contacting the previous signatories via the council website,
Okay.
by the council emails, but we don't know whether they are still getting their council emails, whether they're still responding to them or not.
Right. Okay, right, back to business.
So I'm sorry I can't tell you anything.
No, it's all right, Lynn, thank you. Well, in which case, they'll be carrying on signing the cheques next month as well.
Yeah, I think unless I get it sorted out before then, hopefully I might.
Yeah,
be.
okay. Right, to resolve to appoint the auditors for the financial year 24-25.
Right. It appears that there was a communication given to the new council that the auditors needed to be asked to do a new audit immediately. But that doesn't seem to be true. There was also told that there was a 5-year contract, but that's not true either. So I've contacted the auditors who've done it before, who, some of you that were here at previous meetings when the audit was announced, that we'd received the audit, some of you will remember that it was a remote audit. It was done remotely rather than in person, which is what we'd asked for. Which didn't go down very well with some of us. I have spoken to the auditor about that, and he has, the boss, and he has apologised and said, really sorry, sickness, whatever. And apparently we have not been, no auditor has been appointed for this coming year, and if we don't do it soon, we won't get one. So I'm really asking that for this particular financial year that we're in at the moment, can we please just appoint the previous auditors that have done it before on the basis that it will be an in-person audit this time, and we will talk to them, and he has promised that they will. So if we appoint them this year, then we can then look to be different auditors, because we shouldn't use the same auditors all the time. We can then look to find different auditors for the future.
Right, is that Mulberry & Co?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I'd quite like to use regrettably. So if we could resolve that, that would be useful, please. If we could have a.
Okay, so is everybody happy that Lyn follows that route
Absolutely.
with Mulberry &
Yep.
Co?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Second.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Just to point out, it will be slightly more expensive on a yearly basis than if we'd signed for 3 years. But we don't particularly wish to sign for 3 years at present.
They only bought. The interesting thing is, we were told previously that there was a 3-year contract, weren't we? But in actual fact, when I spoke to the boss, he said that they only brought the 3-year contract in last year.
That's right. It was offered at a parish council meeting last year and we declined it.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Right, to discuss and resolve to apply for CIL money before the 8th deadline, 8th November deadline. Have you got some paperwork on that?
I did have it. Yes, I've still got it. I have got the CIL money needs to be applied for, as it says there, by April the
8th of November.
8th of November.
Mhm.
It's cold, it's not doing any good. Yeah, so it needs to be by the 8th of November, and I do suggest that we need to put that in, but we then need to decide what we're going to apply for here. It says here, the contract will be made with the parish council inviting expressions of interest to be submitted for CIL funding. This is obviously the market garden money. I'm assuming it's not going to be clawed back. The communication will include clear details of the provision which can be funded by strategic CIL and the funding requirements. And we've got until November date. So we do need to consider that quite carefully and put in a proposed expression of interest.
So I take it this is the money that they've got, that Rother have got from
no, this is the market
the Holy Pot.
Yes, but it's the market that we.
Be the
It's
whole
not the money that we got.
Or is it not the market that we've
No,
got?
it's not the money
this
that we've got,
right,
no.
okay. This is the rural and Bexhill money.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, well, does anybody have any issues, any point on that? Any way you want to move forward?
Well, I think we can have possibly an agenda item in November. And
It's too late.
no, sorry, the end of
Agenda
October.
item for October, yeah?
22nd.
And by then,
2.5 weeks' time.
I will find something that we need funding for.
Yeah, but not for another bike, all right? Okay, right, thank you. Yes, we'll put that on the agenda 9D. Okay, E, to discuss and resolve a contribution to the War Memorial Fund. Jeff, do you want to talk a little bit about this? I know Stephen raised a point about it, but I do know that you had some dealings with the War Memorial, or you've done some calculations, yeah?
Yes, but
I'm the War
Steve,
Memorial liaison.
Okay, right, you want to go then, Stephen?
Okay. As you will all know, the War Memorial is a parish council steering group that operates on the basis of independent funding. So donations are made to the War Memorial Fund for the erection of Bexhill War Memorial. That is going ahead on the 30th of November and is currently on track for the ceremony on that day. So things are going well and the payments for it are being made by individual donations. The point that the group is at the moment is that they are at a stage where they have to do invitations to dignitaries, such as the Lord Lieutenant, the top church representative, etc., and provide refreshments for the day. Now, clearly, those invitations go out by post, and they have to be a written invitation. Now, that is not covered specifically by the individual donations. So my proposition is that we should be, as a parish council, making a contribution that will cover the costs of postage, printing of invitations, refreshments on a day. It's not a commercial refreshment thing, it's done by, village volunteers, and it's sort of local cake make, that type of thing. So the proposal is that I'd like to put forward is that this parish council makes a donation. I'm quite happy to sort of figure by it if that's what you'd like, Chair.
Yeah.
I would propose that we go up to £1,000. I'm pretty sure that will cover it, and I'm also happy to suggest that we should say up to, but then they present invoices, and if it comes to less than that, then that's the amount that we donate as parish council.
Anybody else?
Just so everybody knows, I did do a calculation of what was in the emergency EMR funds on the project as of the end of last month, so it is out of date, and it may be able to be verified by somebody in the audience tonight. Very quickly, of course, the total cost of the project was with VAT, which came to roughly £24,000. This is for the stone and to be put in place. But we claim back VAT, so the real cost is less. So if we work just on the net figure, the War Memorial Steering Group has in earmarked reserves enough to pay for the finished stone in sight, but at maximum they only probably have another 1,500 will be left in the pot after VAT, and of course we've got to be aware that they need to also carry on building funds for onward maintenance, and that figure of the 1,500 has also got to take into account a final payoff of the building inspectors or some other costs are involved. So they're not, they haven't got a lot of spare money, and my personal feeling is probably along with Stephen's, is that it was a joint parish council project, and perhaps we should look at awarding them some money to cover these costs of the catering and the postage of invitations.
Has anyone had anything from Hayden?
Do you want to hear from me?
Yes, please. You go ahead. Yeah.
Moderator. Just good news. The stone we saw the stone yesterday engraved. We're substantially there for the first time after years of working through this, about 5 years. And finally we've got to the stage there's been tooling problems, etc., etc. We think it's all going to be done easily within the time. The 30th of November date is not final, it's probably final. In fact, you might be able to get it done by the Remembrance Sunday, or the Remembrance Day. But the schedule is for the 30th of November. But the church architect has to come and discuss the final siting, final arrangement, and until he signs off, it's not final. But it's just about, we're all done. After 5 years, we're just about there. So, fingers crossed. And I think the figures that Jeff said, I think they are, as I understood it, we had about 1,500 left after the payment of the initial deposit and the balance.
Yes.
And I understood that was to be put aside for, as you said, for maintenance, ongoing, etc. So what Stephen is proposing is for the actual event on the day.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
Okay?
Yeah, thank you. Paul Draper. Did you get the name?
Sorry?
Did you get the name?
Yeah.
Paul Draper. Okay. What do the councillors feel? We know what Jeff has said, and we know what Stephen.
Yeah, I think we should support it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have a problem with that. Paul, can I ask you a question? Does the War Memorial Group, does it have its own bank account or not?
No, the parish council looks after, has been looking after the money throughout, and that has been minuted in a previous.
I understand that, but I didn't know whether or not you'd gone down the route of creating a bank account for carrying out further maintenance.
No, that's,
Okay.
that's all been understood to be the parish council ongoing.
Okay. Okay then, in that case then, we vote for it, all for £1,000?
Up to.
Up to.
Up to.
Up to £1,000, depending what the bill comes to. Okay, done. Thank you.
Thank you,
If you Paul, if you'd like to tell Hayden that will be, it's okay. Yeah? Thank you. Okay, item F, the discussion resolve to implement and pay for repairs to the sports slide at the children's playground. Jeff, I think that's you to talk
Yes, basically the small slide, multi-play piece of equipment up on the field, which is the one that sits in the only park area left, is dilapidating on the platform to the size now that a child's foot could get trapped in it. On top of that, because the bark has not been replenished properly for years and years, it's so much gone to dust, it does not cover up the concrete footings of the frame itself, which, needless to say, is a potential nasty head injury to a child who trips onto it. It's not really bad news other than the financial amount. The side of the bark, one side of the bark area needs replacing. That's very easily done, and a new councillor, Councillor Pichard, has already offered the materials to do that. The play bark is a special bark and it's not cheap. I've done a rough measurement calculation and I think it's going to need a minimum of 3 bulk bags, and the cheapest we can find these bulk bags is £132. The board itself, the equipment's very old, the board itself cannot be found from the original manufacturers, don't even exist anymore, of the swing. The board itself is a special material called phenolic plywood, which is basically a resin impregnated board with a special anti-slip top, which is resistant to fungus, insect attack, and therefore safe. The board, I'd say the only way we can do it is to cut the right size board from a whole piece of 8 foot by 4 foot board, which is £100 up to 140 odd with a delivery charge. So the maximum we could be looking at is about £680, I'm afraid to say. But we can't really, as far as I'm concerned, it can't really not be done. Either that or we're going to decommission the slide, which I think would be almost impossible to do. It was easy, the big slide, this small one would be virtually impossible, or we'd have the same cost in Aritorel. We can do it in-house, so those costs will be material only.
Right, thanks, Jeff. Anybody else got anything to say about it?
I just think it's got to be done. I've had complaints about it on
Oh,
paper
sorry, it's been on Facebook and a lot of public opinion was put up on
It has to be done in the story.
Yeah,
You haven't got a choice.
No.
All in favour?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Jeff, we leave that in your capable hands to deal with.
Thank you.
Got loads of time.
Okay, that's right. Market garden site, report from village people. Which of you two guys want to deal with it, Lee or?
Well, I've just literally had a email from Anna. There's not an awful lot going on just at the moment, as Councillors Tim and Andrew have said. We're waiting really for the site survey to come through. There is questions sort of ongoing regarding fencing, which we believe to be too high. That's ongoing as well. but nothing really concrete to report until this actually comes through again.
Okay.
There's been obviously the breaches have been recorded, and Anna's just saying here that yes, we're just waiting.
Right, Carl did mention at a couple of meetings ago with regards to calling a stakeholders meeting, which was brought up, I believe, at the village meeting. Is that what?
I can categorically tell you that they won't attend because they've been asked. I think I can remember at least 3 times, and you know, the idea of a stakeholders meeting is perfect. They will sit around, we discuss it, errors the ways, but they won't go.
This is the parish council that's asking.
I know. If it's the king and country, they won't go.
If I may,
It opens them up to everything.
Right, okay.
I think for us to make a decision that they won't attend is inappropriate. I think as parish council, through whichever officer does it, we have to try and set one up and write officially to all these bodies and, you know, say we want a response. And if they don't respond, at least we've got evidence that, and that will be significant in the future, we will have evidence that we have tried as a parish council. Is it Christmas already?
Yeah. I know it's been done to the village people that were requested by letter, but not the council.
Yeah. So I think we should try and set one up, give due notice, due time, write to all of the official stakeholders as the parish council, invite that to take place, and then when people ignore it or decline it, that speaks volumes.
It can be reported on.
Exactly. So, you know, whilst I fully agree with you, it's not wrong, but I think that the tactic should be to try and set it up. And if they show up and surprise us, then we have an interesting meeting.
It'll be a surprise.
If they don't, we have evidence that people have refused the opportunity to come and discuss issues.
Okay, fine. It was reported earlier that the parish council didn't seem to, the previous parish council didn't seem to have a lot of interest for the village garden. To some extent, I know that to be true, but to another extent, I also know that in the first instance, the parish council did have a lot to do with the market garden site. Ex-councillor Stephen Ledbetter, has now passed, was responsible for that. He did meet with the contractors, he did meet with the guy that owns the place, I can't remember his name, Giorgio, I believe. And there was a lot of discussion between himself and brought back to the parish council. However, when Stephen passed on, the previous parish council felt that it was enough. They couldn't do anything, they couldn't change anything, they weren't getting listened to. Hence, that's why village people were starting, I understand.
I'll just put a point there. That was, all that meeting was done initially to ingratiate themselves with the people of the village.
Okay.
So they were going, we'll do this, we'll do that.
Okay.
And it was all part of the process of getting everybody on their side.
Right.
When they had the meetings in the village hall, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And of course, soon as it actually got passed through, that's when it all stopped.
Okay, right. Joe, to withhold standing orders. Geoffrey.
Thank you. I just think I should make parish council aware that our case, or village people's case, has gone to the media now. So all most media outlets,
Okay.
papers, television companies.
Okay, right, thank you. Right, back to order again. Can I ask Lee and Steve, can you get together with Anna to arrange this stakeholders meeting? Because Anna will have the addresses of all the necessary people.
Can I just make a suggestion that
Yes.
we wait just until we get the report
Get the
through?
survey report.
So we've got ammunition.
Absolutely agree. And just if I may, I think there is a slight conflict of interest as Lee is part of the village people. So if I do that on their behalf, I just think it counters any conflict of interest questions that come up from third parties. You know, don't need the work, but I think it's something that would be.
He probably doesn't hate you.
No, it is.
He hates me.
Just I think it saves that challenge.
Okay.
Not yet.
By all means, if you want to do something about it, but it's from the parish council.
No, sorry. On behalf of the parish council,
Yeah.
but we have to avoid conflict of interest because that is a challenge.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Right, 11, review of policies and parish council logo. Let's take the policies first because it's easier to deal with, I think. The volunteer policy, which Geoffrey has kindly written. Jeff, would you like to explain why you've written this and also the risk assessment?
I had a quick look on our overall policies because hopefully we've got a new member which is going to be very good at policies. I did realise a lot of them are out of date by about up to 3-4 years. But also I'm a bit of a weird early morning researcher and I clicked on a lot of other parish councils and just compared our policies, what type of policies we have with other parish councils, and it was blatantly obvious that we are actually missing a volunteers policy, which why I didn't notice it when I was last on the council is beyond me. But it seems that most parish councils have always used volunteers to get little jobs done in the village, or even if they want to bring an idea to the parish council for their okay, that we have that there is a policy which protects them. You would not. I spoke with our insurance office, insurers as well, and they said no, you have to have a policy before the insurance company will cover liability of anyone working on parish council assets or materials or whatever. So I just thought we have to have a volunteers policy, so I wrote one.
I think it's also down to highways say that you can't have anybody working on their property without the £10 million
Oh yeah, sorry, yes.
highway authority.
Yes, it's a bit tricky really, because if you're doing anything on the highways, it's like a total minefield. But if you've actually got a listed parish council asset which sits on the highways, our insurance will still cover any one volunteer working on that. It's all got to be documented. Anyone which volunteers, all got to be documented. I've done a risk assessment, a standard, score of liability of injuries type risk assessment, which can just be overwritten by the clerk for every single individual volunteer activity. But I think it's pretty essential that this parish council accepts a volunteer policy, and we'll soon be working on and updating the other policies as well.
At the risk of being contentious, Chair, if I can just put input from the point of view of someone who sat on the previous council, the previous council responsible officer was very anti having volunteers and was actually opposed to doing that and said that the insurance wouldn't cover them. So that's why we didn't have any.
Okay, well we don't have a previous
so we don't have to worry about that now.
Clerk anymore, so we're moving on with the way that we want to move on for the village,
exactly,
for the benefits of the village. So, Jeff, thanks very much. All in favour of the...
I have a comment, Chair.
Please go ahead.
Okay, comment on item 8.
Oh, on the policy? Yeah. Sorry, it can be rewritten.
As somebody who has, I think I've got 10 DBS certificates. Because I work with lots of different organisations with disabled people. And they all insist on an individual one. I think we've got to say something about DBS certificate for this council rather than a DBS clearance, because you're supposed to have a DBS for each organisation for which you work.
Yes.
So I think that's got to be clearly written that we do it, and the point about that is twofold. A, it's for us as a council, and B, it has to be paid for. So I think we have to have a statement in there that says it has to be a DBS clearance for the Fairlight Parish Council and paid for by the council.
Yeah.
It's not huge amounts of money, so I think that's an important thing to add.
I can get them done for £10.
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Which barrel do you get that on? And the second thing, and I know you're all going to groan at me, but item 4, my English teacher would ask you to say, and to whom to report it, rather than who to report it to.
Put them both in, Geoffrey.
I would have got a cane for that.
Wait till the meeting's finished and you will be.
So if I add those two in, can we have an agreement tonight?
Yeah, it's fine. If
The
everyone's
acceptance of a new policy.
If you send them out,
Yes,
and then
will
we'll
do.
get them put on the website. Fine. Thanks, Jeff.
Oh, sorry, just one other thing. It did make sense to include a little mention of food preparation by new volunteers. So I will very soon be writing out a basic food hygiene policy to accompany
I mean,
it.
just on that, I mean, yeah, as a caterer,
Well, actually,
as a
Stephen
caterer, I
would
ought
like
to
that.
probably make comment. It is very easy if we're going to have people doing regular food preparation to do a food hygiene certificate level one, which
Yes.
is very cheap.
Yeah.
And so that's an easy. I mean, you know about that. Sort of
Yeah.
You know, I think that's probably worth putting in there at some stage.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, fine, thank you. Right, 11B. Consider and resolve to accept a new parish logo. Now, I know this has been going on for many months, but I believe Maggie has now produced two logos here that we can use. Is that correct, Jeff?
Well, sort of the choice of three logos and letter headers.
Okay, so it's the one for the letterhead that we need to discuss to start with.
The
one for the letterhead.
Letterhead.
Yeah.
So, not being a designer,
Just laughing.
I can't see the difference other than the colour of them, I'm afraid to say.
Right, so what are we saying? Are we going for
And fonts.
It's the font.
Okay, has everybody seen these? Yeah? Okay, so which do councillors prefer?
I like the third one.
Can I say that I prefer blue rather than black? So, reading from the top, number 2 and number 3.
So you. So that's.
So two of these.
Or do we have a corporate colour for Fairlight?
No.
Move on.
on.
It may be a silly thing, but it ties
Dark red.
everything together.
It's not.
What sort of blue?
Hmm?
What sort of blue, if you're going for blue?
Right,
No, I can see what they've done.
it does have they do have a number, and I can ask Maggie for the number because it will need sticking to in terms of
Absolutely.
regulations. In terms of letterheading, it would depend what type of printer you're printing it out on as to what sort of shade it's got. But
Yes,
if we can
that's
say in general it's a particular type of blue, then we can stick with that. But for things like posters and things, there'll be a bigger version.
Oh, yes.
Or there'll be a different version, which is probably on the back there. Is it?
Yes.
No.
No.
That's the logos.
That's logos.
Okay. So, any other preferences on there?
Has anyone got a preference or anything?
I prefer the grotesque font as opposed to
Well, the bottom one.
no, the middle.
Oh, the,
Well,
the
the
second one.
the second one and the bottom one.
Second one. Yeah, I like that.
Three.
Yeah, it's
Three?
nice.
Yeah,
Yes,
and that
I
one.
agree. I would opt for grotesque.
That is
Yes,
cool.
it seems weird, but that's the problem, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, just the standard rules then go. No.
I would just say that when choosing it, I would look at the very smallest application of it and see how that functions. Because it's always easier when it goes bigger, but just think, what's the smallest thing? It's like a thumbnail on a Netflix thing, you know, what's the smallest?
Maggie has taken that into consideration when designing it in the first place. She went for the small type, knowing that if she has to enlarge it, it will be okay to enlarge it and it will still be okay. So it was designed on the small side to start with.
Yeah, good.
Thank you. That's the standing orders. Right, so we've got how many, Jeff? 2 for what? Or
Well, most people seem to be voting for the second one.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2, okay.
Font, brand and grotesque.
It's because it's
Could you please
grotesque.
look at
but I get it.
Could you please
They
look
say they
at
don't think it is. Some do think it is.
Jeff, could you let Maggie know that that's the one that we like?
Yes, I can do.
Could I have a quick question, Chair, about the logo?
Yeah.
Not about the decision of it. The question is about implementation.
Mhm.
There are, as you heard earlier, invitations going out for War Memorial Group fairly soon, which they are very keen to use the Fairlight logo. So if you're implementing that today, would you ask the War Memorial Group to either use no logo or the Fairlight Parish Council logo? Bear in mind that the War Memorial Group is a steering group of this council.
Okay, what's that, Councillor?
My personal thought was if we adopt a new logo, that's what should be on their letterheads.
All in favour?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so that's what will happen.
Well,
Right.
we need to adopt a new logo then, don't we?
Well,
Yeah.
yes, we're about to do that. But
Yeah.
just-
Thank you, Lynn. Yeah. Yes, go ahead. Well,
I'm just wondering why we've had 3 logos in the last 6 months. I think the old parish council made a resolution probably 4 months ago to change the logo.
right.
And now we're doing it again tonight.
I can answer that if you want
Go
to.
ahead, Jeff.
The only thing I can offer you, Chris, is that I was at a meeting and I openly asked in the public forum, could we have, as a village, a full frank reason of why the logo's being changed? And the answer was shouted back at me, because that's what we've been advised by the FRA. So I'm afraid to say, if you don't know, I don't know.
No, I do know, but it's quite a mess between the designer and the FRA, and I didn't think it was appropriate to bring it up at that point, because it was between two people. But I'm just asking why it is when council made a resolution 4 months ago to change the logo, it's been changed again tonight.
Well, that was the previous council, and we don't like
That
it.
resolutions need to last at least 6 months.
Well, it would be pretty much 6 months by the time a new one kicks in. So, and
Right,
We would
don't
check
like
that.
it.
Actually.
Right, I'm conscious that there has been a lot of this. Sorry, we're back to standing orders again. I'm conscious that there has been a lot of communication and controversy with regards to who owns what's going to be owned. We don't want to own it. Now can we own it? And we don't want it blown up. And it was a conversation that I happened to have with the designer, which has got the FRA one, the FRA one. And I said to her, look, I said, I don't understand why we have to have all this argument over a logo, which, you know, in reality shouldn't exist. And I said, I don't understand why it exists. I don't want to know why it exists. If there is a problem with what we're currently using, is there a problem? Yeah, well, yes, there could be if people go and change it. I said, right, then I will make sure that we will stick to something that we have agreed to use, that you have designed. You are the only one that's allowed to change it if we want it changed in any way. I said, is there a problem with that? And the answer was, absolutely not. I will design it for you now. This is why it's being resolved now. We don't want to go back into the arguments that I know that the previous parish council had with regards designing logos and goodness what else. If the logo is designed, there is no person on this parish council that is allowed to change it, change the colour. It can only be done by the owner, and that's it. That's fine by us.
Can I respond?
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can. Please go ahead, Chris.
Thank you. And it's only in response to what Stephen has just said. You're making a big decision about maybe potentially putting a logo on a memorial that's got quite a lot of significance. And if we've changed the logo 3 times in 6 months, would it be better not to put a logo on the memorial?
It's not on
I
the
didn't think
memorial.
there was one going on. Paul?
It's not on the
Not on the memorial.
Just the invite. Just the invite.
No, that's okay.
Can I make a suggestion?
Go ahead.
Please.
We're back to
We've-
standing orders, please. Jeff?
Perhaps the steering group as a whole should decide whether they want to accept the logo, or do you think it would be possible if they send them out without a logo?
From the discussions, I don't know if you want to take it from the floor, Steve.
Yeah, standing orders down. Go, Paul.
Yeah, the last time we discussed it, we said, why do we want the logo on there? We'd probably have it just plain, no logo. The invitation. That's the last thing we were saying. But we've got another meeting next week, so
Correct, yeah.
it's not finalised yet.
Okay.
So
It's entirely up to the Warren back to standing orders. So it's entirely up to the Warren group whether they use it or not. It's not for us to decide.
I raised it with the chair of the War Memorial Group to say, what do you want to do? And their view was it would either be, as was commented, without or with, if this parish council agreed it.
Right.
So that can now be given back to the War Memorial Group to make that decision, I would suggest.
Right. I understand that we're all happy to go down that route with what Jeff has already said with regards to what type of logo we're going to use when we decide in a moment. But the Warren will be able to use it if they so decide.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Good. Do we go down to which logo we're going to use? Councillors, please decide. You have seen it.
It's this one, isn't it? The old grade one, isn't it?
Yeah.
The one. Printed them.
Okay. Have you seen it? Yeah. Okay. Right. So it's number.
I haven't got a number on it.
It's the round one.
The round one, the circle of the parish council written underneath the emblem.
Why don't you just number them and then we can mince it?
That's too easy.
Number
To
two.
do that.
Too easy.
That's
Too easy.
That's a bit.
Number two and number two.
Thank you.
What's your rule?
Okay. Right. We are back to standing orders. So, information and on future agenda items to consider correspondence received. Okay, we've received a fair amount of respondents. There is one with regards to an abusive resident when told to ask his dog, asking to clean up a dog mess outside in Knoll Road. That has always been replied to by the clerk, the ex-clerk, and that was thank you for your email. I'm afraid the Parish Council is not responsible for dog fouling enforcement. This is an issue on Rotherham District Council and complaints will be reported to those who have the powers to deal with it. On the other hand, I think it would be a good idea, and I speak to Tim Andrew at this point, whether or not the dog warden of Rotherham can actually pay a visit to this village.
They will do if there are a sufficient number of complaints. Then
there will be sufficient complaints.
They will come out. Yes.
Okay. Right. Thank you. Okay, but this particular person was quite abusive to the young lady that wrote in, called her all names under the sun. But that needs attending to, and that's a civil matter. That's nothing to do with us. But we would like the dog warden to visit the village because it is getting out of hand. I will talk to Sandy Vivian, I think was the last person that was dealing with it, I believe, was it not? Sandy Vivian?
And Bob Scatwood.
And Bob Scatwood, yeah, I'll talk to them. And I'll see if we can't get more information from them with regards to people complaining to them. I know it's okay to complain to us, but those people, they're on the case, they know what they're doing. Okay. The other piece of information that we've had, I'm not certain how to deal with this, I have to say. And the person that wrote in this letter is here. There are several points on this. I'm not going to say who the person is, but part of this is now a civil matter, in my opinion, and I stand to be corrected. I'm no lawyer, but this is new parish council. We cannot dictate or ask the previous parish council do anything other than what they are obliged to do, and that's to sign cheques. I cannot ask them that they should write apologies or retract any information because they are not councillors, they are residents, and I don't think that we can do that. I don't know what the rest of the residents, the rest of the council think.
I don't think we can dictate to individual residents, no.
No. So that to my mind, that's a civil matter that can be dealt with that. In terms of how is Dish dealt with, in terms of cash handed, Jeff, would you like to reiterate that for us as it's minuted?
As far as I am aware, and what I know is correct, Dish is a parish council project. They have donations which are normally collected just before the end of the month and included in our monthly income. All 100% correct with the incoming donations and outgoing expenses. I thought it was best to maybe collect the money myself off Dish this Monday just gone. I arranged a meeting. I got told by them I could do what I want, so I thought I'd just come as a solo person, so it wasn't confrontational at all, and the money was refused to be handed over because, and certain of it for a legitimate reason, because we do not have a responsible finance officer at the moment to officially hand over the money. I entered a small conversation along the lines of, but I am a parish councillor and it is parish council money. I didn't get far. I did, however, and with full cooperation, check that the money is accounted for by a minimum of 2 people and it is safe. So really the bottom line for me was the parish council will approach them again to collect the money the minute we have an RFO or appoint an RFO.
Right.
Are you able to say how much it is, Jeff?
Well, I don't. I didn't know the expenses, but the collection last month was roughly £330. I'm not too sure of what the expenses were. I didn't see. They were individual. As the weeks go by, there were individual receipts and donation amounts, which is high. But then again, there were 5 Mondays in this month, so it did operate on 5 occasions.
Right, well, I trust that that's answered the way how Dish works. We do have 2 councillors that are going to be responsible for communication with Dish, and that's Dominic and Michael. It's my opinion that the Dish is run and was set up by the parish council. They have parish council money. That belongs to the parish council. It doesn't matter who pays the money in. So long as they've seen a receipt that money has been paid into the parish council, that's all that's necessary. I think we should enforce that, but you two people need to have a word with them to find out what's actually going on, and then bring it back to parish council. If you're going next Monday, perhaps you can bring it back to parish council on the 22nd of this month. If you're not meeting with them, then perhaps you can bring it back on the next meeting. The parish council currently pay for their village hall for them to be used out of earmark reserve, Jeff? Am I right?
It's not. It's precept money.
It's out precept money, but it
Yeah.
is in reserves at the moment, isn't it?
No,
I don't believe
it's
going
in
down.
general reserves.
But it's not going down. The money's just being spent, but it's not being it's not saying where it's being spent from, as far as I can see. I might be wrong, but I've not looked at. Can't get into the account. So.
It comes out of general reserves.
Right. Okay. Fine. So Dish is being paid for by the residents of this village, but they're refusing to pay the money that they make, and they've also stated, and it was told to me, that that money is to be used only for Dish and no one else. So it's reserved for
the all of monies, all donations, grants they've ever had goes directly monthly into earmarked reserves in their name.
Right. Okay.
Into an earmarked reserve pot.
Okay, fine. Right, well, we'll leave it then at Dominic and Michael will talk about what the situation is and pursue it further. In terms of the third part on the resident's letter, I can find no indication anywhere on the computer system that any solicitor has been asked to represent the council in any way against any resident. I can find nothing. Right? That doesn't mean to say that it's not happening and it's not going to happen. It's just that I cannot find anything on the computer that states that. I found stuff that states complaints. I've found stuff that says other solicitors that have been employed to look at, but nothing to say asking for solicitors to look at a complaint against a resident. So my only answer to that is that has got to be dealt with as a civil matter, and it will have to be taken up with the members of the committee and let them deal with it, I'm afraid. Yeah, I can't do no more. I hope that's answered the letter, and I know the particular person is here. If they wish to discuss it with me further, by all means, I don't have a problem with that. That's it. There's no more letters. Nothing else was received by anybody.
Hastings Athletics.
Sorry?
Hastings Athletics.
Yeah, I've just come down to that.
Sorry.
A, to discuss amending the arrangements with Hastings Athletic Club to change the agreement from use of the field from Tuesday and Thursday to Monday and Thursday, as well as Saturdays for matches. Lyn, I know you've been talking to them. Jeff, that I don't know whether or not that will impact with Activate as well.
No, it's fine.
So, Lyn, are you happy to go back to them and tell them that's fine?
Absolutely.
Okay, job done. Good. Thank you. Date of next meeting, Tuesday 22nd of October, 7 p.m. Everybody happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else want anything else to say before I close the meeting? No? Meeting closed, thank you very much. Open forum, open to the residents. Anybody got anything to say? Peter?
I think you've got the tiger by the tail with dish. There's someone doing cooking who's a volunteer. There's at least 3 other people that are serving around and doing things in your name, and I don't think you've got any control of what's going on at that meeting. But I think you should be fully aware of what's going on and the people concerned to make sure it goes in the right direction.
Do you understand what Peter's saying there?
Yeah.
Yeah? All right, Michael?
I'm not sure what he's actually saying. I think I'd like a little bit more clarity in what you mean by what you're saying.
Well, there's the volunteers, let's call it out square. The volunteers are all ex-councillors, and I don't think they're going out of their way to do things, to make things proper for this council. The item of the money, I think it's just going to be a small amount. I think you're going to head for trouble unless you get on top of it and control it. Can I ask a question which I think is directly relevant to that? What is the management process from this parish council with Dish? So what is the management? Who manages them? Who says what's going to happen, etc.? Because that will answer your question, I think. Well, not just money, but everything. And Steve, you may not know the answer to that.
I don't know. Jeff, do you know the answer to that?
I can only say it is a well thought after project. We want to fully support it. I think we've all said we want to fully support it. But as far as the actual structure, it's got to be appreciated that it was an initiative set up by Carol Sharp, who's worked admirably with it. I can't dispute that one bit. Pauline and Izzy Horsley have always been part of it. They're there quite religiously, week in, week out, and give it their all, and there's no disputing that. But that was fine when they were on the parish council, just running it. I think we have to at least have a working agreement with them now that they've all departed from the parish council, because it is still technically it's a parish council project. So we do have to have some form of control over it, I'm afraid to say.
That was my question.
But
What's the management process of it? So I mean, when it was the same people, they did whatever they want. There is a management process from this council that says what's done, how's it's done, etc., etc.
Quite happy for it to run the way it is, personally.
Excuse me, chaps.
Personally, yes.
Can I ask Peter, what do you suggest should be done, Peter? Because you're a regular attender, aren't you? You go regularly.
Well, I'm chairman of the village hall, so my main concern is whether the rents are being paid, etc.
Yeah.
And it's quite a, it's a weekly event.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to go belly up because of the village hall and because the amount of people that attend is a really, really good attendance.
Yes.
But I feel it needs to be under control so that the council is controlling it. Council business, council control it, council should know who the volunteers are because you've got to insure them and what they intend to do. But they've got to do what you as a council direct them to do.
Okay.
Otherwise it's going to go belly up.
Which is not doing at the moment.
Well, it is, because they're the ex-councillors and they were running it anyway.
Why do you
But
think it'll
things
go
have
belly up?
changed.
Why do you think it'll go belly up, Peter?
Because I think the people that are the volunteers are not friends of yours, the council, and I think they will be doing things like not giving money because they're not under control of the council.
Okay.
Unfortunate, isn't it?
I understand where I think where Peter's coming from. I think we've got to give our two guys here time to get their feet under the table, have a chat with them, point out to them that it's still a parish council project. Yeah. So let's see what they come back with, and then we'll take it further from there if necessary. But until we've asked them that, we don't know. Ian.
It's just with this dish thing, and there was a big spend before they resigned, and that to obviously replenish their stocks and everything. At the moment, they're running on, I don't know if you know, Jeff, and that you say you don't know what their expenses are as opposed to their income into that. Is there going to be such point that they could run out of money in that if the parish council don't take it over?
No. What do you mean if we don't take it over?
Well, when I say take it over, manage it, should I say?
No. I don't. There's no question of trust in my mind whatsoever about it. And what I saw, normally their expense. I have to be honest. I wasn't. When I was on the council last time round, I have no idea how that money was controlled, other than it was all totally and utterly documented, 100% right. There wasn't a problem there. As for who initially paid on a weekly basis for the small amounts, the big amounts, before it was claimed back on a monthly basis, I'm not 100% sure. I'm 99.9% sure it was Pauline Collins. How that has been done in the last 3 weeks and by whom, I do not know.
Yeah.
But they have all the receipts, it's all logged, and I personally wouldn't have a problem if that side of it carried on. We'd have to discuss it as a council, but as far as them having the running control as volunteers under our management, I think that's personally I think that's acceptable. Money is not going to run out. There is plenty of money there. I mean, this council's paying for the hall until next April at least, and there is a lot of quite a nice fund in their
Yeah,
name.
I'm sorry, I was just thinking more in this transition period, because at the moment and that, you know, you've got a bank account that's there and that you can't get your hands on.
Well, we could pay into it. That's about all we can do.
Yeah, but you're not playing out of it in that side.
Well, no.
You're always going to get your money for the village hall, aren't you?
Yeah, but I'm more concerned to make sure that it's run properly.
And fairly, yeah.
I think the thing is, it's not going to happen overnight.
No.
You know, so if Dom and I go in there next Monday and ask them to give us the money, we will get the same answer as Jeff got last Monday, and probably a lot of abuse to go with it. Okay. Well, I personally am not going to stand for that sort of thing. Okay. And but preferably would not want that kind of confrontation. So on the basis of given up, broken or hang themselves, we wait until there's an RFO appointed, and then we ask for the money. If they then refuse to hand it over, then I think we can start to take some action. But until that happens, and until we've got full knowledge of the accounts and control of the money completely, we're not in a strong position to start demanding stuff. It may be that the rule is that they should hand over the money because it's the council's money, and in turn the village's money. That may be the theory of it, but the practice is that we are rather hamstrung at the moment. I mean, it's a regrettable position to be in, and we would rather it wasn't that position. We would rather have cooperation than delay and non-cooperation. But that's not the case.
Okay, thank you, Michael. Chris, you got one.
Just trying to think outside the box here for a minute. It sounds as though the two councillors that have been charged with the responsibility of looking after this, it's a bit of a poison chalice. You probably don't relish the opportunity of doing all of this. If the parish council was to continue funding the hire of the hall on that particular day, could I ask you just to imagine what it might look like if the Residents Association actually took it over? It's a village asset for the residents of the village. Take it away from the parish council, but we would talk to you about the grant system, being able to hire the hall. It's set under an umbrella, if you wish. I'm just making this up as I'm going along, and I've got a bit of a cold, so if it's not going to do this intelligently, but could it become a residents' association function?
Okay, I think
not for an answer now.
No, you're not going to get one answer now. I think that's a valid point.
It is a valid point.
I think, can we make sure that that is on the agenda for next month?
I need to discuss this with my committee.
Yeah, please do. And then let us know what, the way that you think it would run, how you think it would go, and then drop us an email with those details, and we can make sure that we discuss it in the parish council meeting.
Steve?
Yes.
Can Jackie have that?
Yes, please, go, Jacqueline.
I've just mentioned to Lyn that our parish council do not run the Warm Hub. It's run by Icklesham Village Hall. So we don't get involved in that. We just advertise it and get as many people there.
Does the parish council in Icklesham pay for the hire of the hall? Do they donate?
We don't actually, can't really tell you off the top of my head. We have too much going on.
I think the biggest outlay is the hiring of the hall.
Well, it probably is. I think we have paid money towards it. I think we did that with the setup of it. I don't know whether they've come. I don't think they've come back to us for more money. So obviously they're able to run it on, the little that they're collecting and what they're giving. So, but we don't get involved in that.
The Residents Association couldn't afford to do it entirely.
I think it could be self-funding, looking at the figures. It's
figure
pretty much
I think
self-funding.
Icklesham is.
The figure work suggests it could be all but self-funding.
Exactly, including the paying for its own hall fees.
Yeah,
If
I
there
mean,
is
we give us
now
grant.
I'm thinking about the money in the
I-
conversation.
My personal feeling is that, of course, whatever decision has to come with a bit of a blessing at least. You know, like if your suggestions are acceptable to the volunteers now who run it, I think that's probably one of the most important things.
Trying to be honest here, it'd probably be a better working relationship. Your guys don't really want to do it.
Well,
what I'm hearing is people that run Dish at the moment probably really wouldn't want to work with these people.
Well,
I'm being honest.
I personally wouldn't have a problem.
I think the attitude of some of those people, what they've been doing and how they've treated the new council.
What I'm going to do Tim, is just to
I think it's a valid point.
Yeah, it is a
I think it's a valid point, and I think we need to leave it to Chris. We need to leave it to Michael and Don to find out how they get on. Yeah. There's no animosity as far as I'm concerned between, if I wanted to go and speak to the people at Dish, they wouldn't be rude to me as they have been to Jeff.
Well, sorry.
Go on. But they wouldn't be rude to me.
They were sort of, well, I can't say they were polite, but they weren't.
Okay, but there's no need for it. There is no need for it, and we just want to move on with it. So, if it stays as a parish council meeting, a parish council project, then fine. But they will follow the rules laid down by the parish council. Yeah. Likewise, if it gets to be run by yourself or the FRA, then you are going to lay down the rules and regulations as well, and they're going to be obliged to run by them.
I think that Jeff suggested that we won't necessarily rule over the Dish, we will just be the umbrella organisation that it sits under.
A very important thing, as well, is the fact that if there was ever a separation between Dish and the new parish council, they would need a bank account and need to set up some sort of a committee or whatever, at least. It's going to take them realistically 8 to 10 months to get a bank account.
What I don't think we really like to do is to lose the assets.
Nobody wants to lose the assets.
And hopefully between the three parties we could work.
Sorry, Heather.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Heather wants to say something.
Yes, Heather.
I'm just curious, who pays for the food that Dish uses? Do they pay for it?
Basically comes out of the donations, directly
It comes out of donations.
It's
So
all
they don't
accounted
actually
for.
they don't buy any food or anything for the Monday?
Oh yeah.
Yes, they-
buy
They do,
it.
but they
Yes.
pay for it, do they?
Yeah.
Yes. At the end of the month, how it's been done, not including this last month, is that the whole donations is counted and banked, and then from that total, a refund is given to who's been buying the food. And it's all receipted, all documented, absolutely 100%, accounted for.
So it's purely the cost of the hall and
Yes,
the gas or
But
electricity or anything that's used in there.
This last month, they've obviously had to take the money, to the best of my knowledge, at present they may have, I don't know for a fact actually, they may have taken the money of expenditures out of the donations. They might not have done, for all I know. They're just going to say that's a total of donations, can we please have our expenses back? It wasn't.
Because MOPS isn't self-funding, is it? MOPS is self-funding, isn't it? They have to, on a Friday, they have to pay everything.
Well, MOPS is a totally separate entity.
Can I just ask Jenna, is your warm-up at Icklesham?
I'm not Jenna.
I'm sorry.
Jackie. That's all right. Jenna's my clerk.
It's got It's got
She's away on holiday. Both being with Jane.
Is it donation based?
I would say so. As I say, we don't get involved in it. We just give them money when they ask us. But I know we did start up. I don't think we've given them anything since then. So I would say it is donation, and it covers everything. But I'm not the one to ask. You could always speak to Icklesham, the Memorial Hall. But it is run by the trustees there, that group.
Right. Okay, thank you, Jackie. Right, I'm happy to talk with the FRA people as well. I don't have a problem with that. If
Steve,
that's
can
what
I
you want.
make
Yeah,
a
sure.
comment?
Yeah, please.
I'd like to think, I think it's probably not a bad idea for the FRA to take it over, but I would like to think that whatever happens, that any animosity that is still lurking at Dish, and I'm sure it is, stops. Whether the parish council carries on with it, the FRA, I would like to think that everybody moves on. There's no more backbiting. We've had enough of it. The village has been split because of it. And Dish seems to be a real boiling point. And I would like to think if these individuals want to carry on run Dish, which is a very worthwhile thing, that they do it as volunteers, individuals, not as a member of any organisation, present or past. I hope that would happen.
I understand that, and I think when we first started, there is a lot of water gone under the bridge. I can't reverse it and make it come back, change it, and then send it through the bridge again. I can't do that. I can only say let's move on. Things have happened in the past which both parties are not happy with, but we can't change any of that. This is a new council. I can't say that we're all friends because some of us don't really know each other, but hopefully we can become friends and we can discuss things outside of parish council, and bearing in mind that as an individual councillor they are not allowed to make any decisions whatsoever. It has to go back to the parish council. So whilst somebody may say to you, oh well, I'll get that sorted, no, they can't get it sorted, but they can raise that issue at the next parish council meeting. Alright, so that's the way it works. Yes, happy to talk whenever you want to, Chris, not a problem at all. And Linda's just passed me, it's not a secret message, so we don't have secret messages anymore. No, it's lady shut from 9 o'clock, so you better go home. Right, thank you very much indeed, ladies.